I'm be astronaut. I'm be astronaut. I'm be astronaut. I want to be astronaut. I want to be astronaut.
When I was younger, I would say that, I had a lot of things I wanted to do because, little kids, they want to do everything.
I don't know, everybody, when they're little, they have their own little things. Like, oh, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a policeman, I want to be an astronaut. My biggest thing was I wanted to be a doctor.
So what made you want to come to college?
Because I wanted to do music so bad.
I'm going to Chabot to become a nurse.
I'm trying to study for graphic design.
I just want to be a part of the solution. I'm here to really become a psychologist.
Something in psychotherapy.
To be a teacher.
Probably be an actor.
I'm here for the betterment of myself and also to provide a better life for my children. I might as well shoot for the stars and go for my business degree.
You go to college because I know that's what the life is. You got to go to college.
On Mondays, I'm in class until 1:15, and then I go over to St. Rose for an internship. On Tuesdays, I have a class out at Las Positas.
Well, with my schedule, I'm here Monday and Wednesday, and on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday,
women's health class,
but I do tutor
and
math.
the last class of my day is Art 1, Introduction to Art.
I'll go in the math lab in the afternoons and get caught up there.
I'm here Monday to
Thursday, I work in field hardware.
People get sick. People get, like I said, life happens. Family issues could come up.
Sometimes,
Some people have children.
Or I might wake up at about 4
I have
or
a
5 in
husband.
the morning and read an assignment or work on a paper.
I'll do some reading in the evening when I don't really have anything else I'm doing, or I'll get to class about an hour early and do most of the reading then.
I'm putting in 3 8-hour days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the next weekend it'll just be Friday and I have Saturday, Sunday off.
Yeah, and raising some children and also having a job and dealing with your own self and your own, just dealing with life the way it is. Times are pretty tough for everybody, you know what I mean? And trying to maintain some sanity in this stuff is, and then focusing on all this other stuff here that can really drive you insane if you allow it to, you know what I mean?
I'll pick a nice quiet room and read, and don't have no music on or TV or anything.
Well, I need it as silent as possible.
But if there's noise, I just can't read. I can't focus. It's either ADD or whatever.
Because I'm usually distracted. There's people walking around and I'm looking at what they're doing.
That's a huge thing is daydreaming, because I'm sitting there reading and then all of a sudden, how can I get this for dinner? I just start thinking of different things and then I have no idea what I've read.
Hunger. TV. Go to that party on Friday. Very distracting.
Who was that girl in the club on Saturday?
Who just texted me on my phone 5 minutes ago?
If I hear a little music, it'll keep me, I don't know, like I can read to a rhythm or something.
Well, sometimes I'll listen to music, except when, a song that I know. I'll start singing and I'll forget about the whole reading thing.
I need some noise around me of some sort.
See, I'm the opposite. I need to be quiet. So you should come to my house and I'll go to yours.
They'll just assign it out of the blue. They'll probably go over it in class okay, we need this done, this done, this done. Then be you got till next week.
Right, yeah.
And then they'll talk about a whole different assignment.
Because when they say read chapters 15 through 18, you're just kind of all right, what do I look for? What should I focus on?
Read chapter 17 through 18 by Wednesday or whatever.
The only thing they really instruct you on reading is read pages 8 through 10.
I never really got that much help. It was kind of like sink or swim.
You guys just sign it and that's it?
And sometimes they'll give you questions that you need to answer. And
that too.
Yeah.
But see, that's only the good teachers.
It's like, do they give you a format? Do they?
Hell no. Nah. I ain't never got a format for reading. I never, ever. The only time I got a format for reading was when my mom enrolled me in a class in Cal State Hayward when I was like 15.
Me personally, I haven't had any teachers that really, tell you to strategize and, okay, wake up in the morning and do 15 push-ups and then, read your notes and then, read the text. No, I haven't had any teachers that gave you, a strict set of rules on how to do, set up the assignments.
Well, not much. Most of the time they just tell you what to read, and then you come to class and then they'll talk about it for a little bit, and then that's pretty much it. It seems pretty brief sometimes. They just discuss it. They just expect you to have read it. You should know what you already know about it.
Nothing comes to mind actually, because I've had history classes where they do actually assign you like a book and a reading from the internet here and this and that there, and they just kind of expect you to have that background in English. They expect you to, which is a reasonable expectation, I think, because you're in college level.
They're thinking, oh, we're in college now, so they kind of expect us to do the reading ourselves and be adults about it. Yeah.
They assume that we understand it.
I've never needed any help reading. Two-tooth, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good reader. I think I'm fairly intelligent.
What do you mean academic reading? Like just reading for school, like grades?
Something that you've been assigned.
What's my process of getting through it? Man, don't do it. It's like, do it just to do it. I have a Nike mentality. Just do it. I'm a Nike kid. That's me. Nike. That's what I do.
It's pretty much how I feel when I open that book and take a look at it. It's no real strategy. Scanning. I don't really have a good technique.
But if I'm kind of like not in the mood to do it, then I'll just do it kind of halfway, and my assignments usually won't come out as good.
I can read something and it just won't go through one ear and out the other. It just.
Even when they read to me, I'll be like, you're just you're going through one ear and out the other. And
I'm reading it, I'm reading it. It's going through one ear and out the other, and that's just like I'm trying to remember things and I just can't. If I don't know anything about it.
I did take a study class at the beginning of my college career, and they did do a little, trying to set up systems for you, but everybody's different.
Without reading, you're not going to be able to get through stuff, but there's ways to get around it. Like I said, I'd much rather have more visual or more listening stuff, instead of the reading.
Like in history, I go through the book, but then I also watch the History Channel, and I learned from my dad, from him reading books and stuff on the history. So I always, like I said, me and my teachers bump heads because I know certain things that they might not know that aren't in the book yet. Because I can bullshit on some papers pretty good, even if but I have to read some of it just to be able to bullshit through the rest of it.
Well, what I was going to do last night, but I was just too tired, was at least just finish the chapter that I was in the middle with. So that way I felt like I accomplished something, which is what I'm going to hopefully maybe try and do before my math class.
Well, I lag until almost like the last days.
To be honest, I do more of the reading on Monday morning.
There's techniques like, read this many pages a night. Read 20 pages a night and you'll be fine. Then I read 10 and I'll be like, dang, 20? I gotta read another 10. Then they'll be like, read 10 pages a night, you'll be fine. Be like, I read 5, 10? Gosh. Read 2 pages a night, you'll be fine. I read 1, 2? I'm sick.
Sometimes you don't come in.
Okay. A lot of people don't even come to school because they, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, I didn't get the help that I needed, so why come to school?
Just last week I sat in the library and contemplated, I'm just gonna miss class.
Oh God, I don't want to go.
I'd rather not come than to be not prepared. Actually, I did that with a night class, and I said I'm not going to do that again because it's just not worth it.
But a lot of times I'll still show who I didn't do the work or I didn't finish it just because I know if I don't show up to class, I'm going to miss out on something else.
I felt awkward and I felt a little guilty to the teachers for not participating in class because
But I just panicked.
I hate not to be prepared for class.
Like I'm disappointed in myself.
And I start that panic from when school starts till the end.
It's kind of embarrassing.
A little guilty.
She's not
I'm
lying.
always in panic mode.
She's not lying. I'll be like, no.
Yeah, I'll like, what's the reading about, guys? Come on, help me out.
It's like you walk in there like, man, I didn't even read. Like me, I'll be honest when I don't read. I'll be like, I didn't read, but I see a lot of people in there like, yeah, I read. And I just in there like, man, all these dudes know what they're talking about. And I don't know what he's saying right now because I didn't read. I didn't read shit. I didn't do anything.
Or you'll kind of sneak your way through, like, hear everybody else's, like, answers, and then you get picked on, just BS through it.
Then when you go and you ask other people, they didn't read it neither. So I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better.
They talking about this. I don't know what they talk about. So I'm feeling far left behind. Yeah,
You don't know what they're talking about, you know, because you're not really prepared for it. So they're just kind of talking about stuff that you should have known. So you're just kind of sitting there and trying to make sense of it.
You feel really out of place, and you feel embarrassed, kind of. And you know it's your fault.
It's just, I didn't have time to do it. And, you know, I'm willing to take the consequences for my actions.
I mean, it can't be so bad. What are she gonna do with me, you know?
Why don't you ask teachers for help? Honestly, I don't. That's a question that may remain unanswered sometimes. Because why don't we ask teachers for help?
They don't want to feel like they're stupid.
I'm not gonna raise my hand and have everybody look at me like, what an idiot, dumbass or something.
Yeah, they feel probably embarrassed.
You're in class and you're just trying to blend in with everyone. You're trying to fit in. Most students are.
You know, I'm just afraid, you know, to ask questions in class.
Usually the male ego thing will get involved, and I don't want to you know, raise my hand and act like I don't know what I'm talking about. The male ego is I guess it's the guy taking the classic not wanting to take directions, and I feel like if I have to ask directions, then I'm straying off the path, and maybe that I don't know, maybe it's a sign that I'm being weak. I don't think that teachers even factor that into their students. They probably don't analyze it in that way, like, hey, this is a male student, and maybe he's not willing to open up and say, hey, he can't do this.
When you ask a question, you better ask something very, you know, intelligent, because if you ask a dumb question, most likely either the student's gonna laugh around you or the teacher's gonna make you feel like you're pretty, you know, inferior. You should have read that, or, you know, you should have known that back in high school. You know, they say that stuff. Oh, that's grade school stuff, you know. They always, if I don't know something, I feel like, oh, you know, maybe I'm kind of dumb.
Is that what happened in your other classes? You ended up feeling stupid?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. And then, you know, it just felt really awkward. Because a lot of people don't understand these things. You're being lazy and you're not taking the time to... People don't understand how hard it is. It really is. And everybody's telling you that you're so lazy because you're not trying.
It's negative from the get-go. They don't want to feel stupid or less educated. Nobody wants to feel that.
You're so stupid.
Feel stupid or something.
You feel stupid.
Stupid ones.
And I'm stupid.
Panic attacks. Panic attacks. Panic attacks. Panic attacks.
Because it's like most teachers I don't have a good teacher relationship with, so it's like if I talk to them, they're gonna be like, "What are you serious? This is college. You're asking me how to read? I can't help you. You should have learned that in 8th grade. I'm sorry, I can't really help you out there."
Sometimes I'm attempting to read something and I'll read it over and over and I still can't understand what they're trying to explain. And that's when the teacher's needed. And it's like, okay, now I need you to explain this because I've read it and I don't understand it.
Some teachers, man, they'll come in and they'll just start lecturing. They won't even set their stuff down. They'll just come rapid fire and they won't stop until 1 minute before the class gets over. And it's like, if I have the time and I'm confused, I'll ask them. But if they don't give me that opportunity, then, I can't like stand up and yell that I need help.
It just seems like they're always in a hurry and they're rushing to get to the next class and they never really have time. When I had my math teacher, I would hunt her down. And make her sit and talk to me and explain to me.
Well, hey, why am I even bothered if you don't give a rat's behind if you help me or not, or if I'm getting the material?
I've pretty much given up going to teachers, and that's not just because of like the college experience, but just teachers in general. Like, I've found aren't as helpful as I would like.
Everybody has a question, so I don't think the teacher can actually help. They're doing their best to explain what's going on.
Wait, you don't think the teacher can help you?
Not right. Well, this is my own problem. The teacher can't do anything about it.
Do you think that your teachers here at Chicago are sympathetic to your situation?
No.
Do you feel that they understand at all?
I don't think so.
No, they don't really try to help me, honestly. They just expect me to do like normal. They don't understand, like, if I ask them that I don't know what that means, the assignment means, whatever, they're gonna be like, it's easy, you can do it, and then they just send me out. 자기 사정 아니니까 그랬던 것 같아요. 자기들은 영어 잘하고 그러니까 영어 못하는 사람은 별로 중요하지 않고 잘 보이지 않았을 거라고 생각합니다. 그리고 나쁘다고 생각하지 않고 저 같아도 그랬을 것 같아요.
Textbooks, sometimes they have the same thing over and over sometimes.
I try to read.
The same thing over and over sometimes.
I'm pretty bored.
The same thing over and over sometimes.
Pretty bored.
Over and over sometimes.
Pretty bored.
Over and over sometimes.
I'm pretty bored with textbooks pretty easily.
Not the textbook. I don't like textbooks. Not the textbook.
It's more like, oh, I have to do this.
I think the textbooks suck.
You're not supposed to torture us.
I think the textbooks suck.
I don't understand them too.
Teachers think like the ones that want to pass will probably read it.
They haven't read, even open the textbook.
Or they just skim through it.
I think the textbooks suck.
I don't understand them too.
More than like 3/4 class don't even probably read the text if they don't need to, or they just skim through it.
And I'm not saying that I hate textbooks. I don't read them ever.
I think the textbooks suck.
These books that we're supposed to be reading, they're not supposed to torture us. I mean, they're supposed to help us learn.
The same thing over
I'm pretty bored.
I just have to remind myself that I wanted to go to college.
over and over sometimes.
They're not supposed to torture us. I mean, they're supposed to help us learn. Help us learn. Help us learn. Help us learn. Help us learn.
I didn't say teachers were ignorant. I said teachers are ignorant if they think, they would be ignorant if they think that all students read their text all the time.
No, I see people that bought a textbook and then end up dropping the class because, they haven't read, even opened the textbook up,
I bought 4 textbooks this semester, and they still have the shrink wrap on them.
I didn't buy my biology book, and I passed the class with an A. And I've done it so many times where I've just floated through and gotten an A, and I haven't touched the book. Well, I didn't buy the book.
The kids were like, well, I'm not buying this book because it's too expensive. And they won't buy the book.
Man, I bought this whole book just to use that one chapter. It's like, man.
It's a waste of students' money, and I mean, I know Chabot isn't exactly the richest community around.
They told me community college was cheap.
Library. They lied.
I couldn't imagine the state.
God, it's like they're ripping us off. And if they really don't need the textbook, then they shouldn't spend hundreds of dollars buying these textbooks when they're probably not even going to open it up.
That's the worst thing. You try to sell it back. You bought it for like $100 and something. You try to sell it back. They give you like
$1.
Yeah, they give you back like $20. It's like, God, it's like they're ripping us off.
They didn't have it in the bookstore. So I went back and I said, it's not available yet. And she says, well, don't worry about it. You don't need to read the books. You get the books, you don't need to read them. It's one lady. She bought the book. She's on disabled income, and she was pissed. She was even giving the teacher, kind of a little attitude. She said, well, why'd you have me to buy the book if we're not going to use it?
Different editions, they're like exactly the same from the last edition, except for I found out they put it in another page, and that's it.
My idea, I have to have the textbook. I read every book I get.
Talk about that, because you're the only one in Chabot, apparently.
I'm about to say.
I mean, like, textbooks, I guess, are good. They have their benefits, like it's all factual and fact.
I will use a textbook if I don't know something and I need it as a reference.
Pictures and the little summary below the pictures. Definitions.
Slow information, more information.
Do you read them?
Yeah, wait, man. Those are my back muscles.
Like I said, I use the textbooks as references. But I also don't think that a lot of the students here are as smart as they think that they are, and I think they should use the textbooks more as references. You can edit that one out if you want to.
I don't understand them too.
Most of the textbooks that I read, I don't understand it. Like, that's the main thing. I don't understand it after I read it, so I was like, why am I wasting my time reading it?
Most of the textbooks are still heavy jargon. It's like, what the hell? Is this Greek?
College reading, it's an art. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard reading for studying. It's just hard.
And for me, when I'm reading a book, I'll skip over a lot of like the stupid like description stuff, like, oh, the tree was blooming and the sky was bright, and because stuff like that's kind of a waste. After I'm done with the first chapter or so, if it's a difficult book, I will sit down and think to myself, okay, well, what did that chapter say? What was the whole point? And then
because you got all these different words, I have to have a dictionary, by me when I'm reading, because I want to know exactly what everything means.
Language is totally different, right? Because all of us is Korean. We use Korean, so we have to transfer, every vocabulary if we want to understand, that content.
Some page just is spend just 1 hour each page, reading each page.
What I do is I just kind of take what I have in my notes and from my lecture, and I just kind of flip to wherever area it is in the book. I start seeing like terms from class and lecture. You know what I mean? I rarely even look at the rest of the textbook unless it has something related to the lecture.
They have questions for you to answer. Then I just read and go through and just answer those questions. And I like to read the summary that they have at the end. I never read the text like a novel verbatim like that. I don't think any student really does that. Get the terms down and everything. Just I like to use flashcards and I just write the terms down.
Read, everybody read. Everybody read. I'm Tandy. I'm Tandy now. I'm telling you now. Everybody away! Can I have that one?
I said, well, here's what I did, and it might help you. I said, I wrote an outline, and I showed it to her. I said, you know, here it is, A, B, C, D. Here's this part. And then what I did is, from my outline, is I went through and pulled out quotes that would support that.
And like underline things they don't understand, like underline keywords, underline certain like topics that I know I'm gonna have to like reference back through. I mean, like I would use the index to like my full advantage.
These are the stories that I will use. These are stories that I may use. These are stories I definitely won't use. And then these are the subject matters to the stories that I will use. And then I just like to change my color of my highlighter between the stories to keep me excited. So there's green there, blue, orange, sometimes yellow. And then I kind of rephrase what the paragraphs are talking about on the sides of the paragraphs, just to really hit the idea home. The phrases that are highlighted are most likely going to be quotes that I'd use in my paper. Things in pencils are ideas of sentences. Things boxed around are, I think, more like a concept that I want to kind of elaborate on. Things written in pen are elaborations of the concepts. Things circled are themes that I find throughout the story. And things in a box is just kind of like, I actually don't know, but just kind of things that stand out.
All I can do is like take it with like a grain of salt, you know, and just like kind of get through it like the way I can, and like try not to let that pressure stress me out because it's only a book, you know. I would love to get through it like the way the teacher wants me to, but if it's like too ridiculous for me, or I just like can't like do it in that time, I mean, I'm just gonna try my best to get it done. And like,
for this generation, for the like TV watching, video game playing generation, I think it's really hard for them to sit down and read something as slow moving as a textbook. And then I think textbooks are used a lot for that's how we're supposed to learn it, and when you have no idea, it's like you have nothing to connect it to. Textbooks, like when people write them, there's like some people who like when they already know it, they don't know what it's like to learn it.
The textbook was, here it is, and expecting you to already know it.
You have the bits and pieces that some person decided that we're fit to read.
And one time I read the whole chapter and I highlighted it and like took notes, and like none of it was even on the test, so I was like, man, I'm not reading this thing no more.
The only time I ever look at a textbook is if I like feel like the teacher ain't teaching me nothing, and that's my last resort.
I guess just a fallback plan if the teacher sucks. Plain and simple.
That's
if I buy the book at all, because half the time I don't even buy the book. I just go off lecture.
Lectures are really cool because you get examples and get all this cool stuff.
I'm always most comfortable with lecture. You know, it's coming out of the teacher's mouth, and I always feel more comfortable, like, hey, that's going to be on the test.
I mean, I'm not in elementary school anymore, but I still would like to feel engaged.
So how do you get through the class without reading your text ever? Like what does the teacher do that helps you get through it?
They discuss what we need to know.
Most, they always say you learn the most from like what you do, and then the second is like what you observe, and the third is like what you hear.
Because there's different types of learners. So there's audio learners, kinesthetic, visual.
So you learn the most by participating. So if you have an active discussion, that's where, I still can remember every line out of that book because we used it, and we used it productively. It wasn't just go home and read it and take a, Scantron test on it.
When I get drunk and I take photos, blurry photos are artistic.
Yeah, whatever. That has nothing to do with it. See?
Where did that come from?
They don't teach you that in textbooks.
Oh, okay, well you should have said that.
I remember when I was a little girl in bed with my mom, she'd read me the jokes from Reader's Digest. And that's how I got introduced to reading. So I love reading.
My mom reads a lot. She reads like all kinds of books. And like when I was real younger, when I was like 5 and 6, she used to read to me.
I was almost practically raised by my grandmother because my mother, works. So yeah, my grandmother always at noon, I still remember, she always used to read to us for at least an hour and then make us do our little, kids' workbooks, the ones you get at Kmart and Walmart and such.
My grandmother used to read to me, so I started reading at a very young age. I was limited to what I could do. And reading became, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. So you're in a hospital bed, so there's not too many options for you. Reading or TV. Well, both of them get pretty boring after a while, so you gotta learn to switch off.
My parents read to me every night before I went to bed. Until I was probably about 8 or 9 when I was like too cool for school.
Nah, I didn't get read to. I had to clean. I was cleaning since I was like 3 years old.
Had my parents not invested time in me reading, I wouldn't have thought it was important to read.
When I was little, I wasn't read to, but most of my time was like spent out in the ranch with the horses and the cows, running after chickens.
My parents didn't really read to me when I was younger, but I read a lot on my own, like those Cat in the Hat and stuff.
My parents, they didn't read the book, just hear radio or watching television news.
I had a really rough childhood, so I don't remember a lot of like the story times. Like maybe I remember a couple, but.
Like I said, my mom, she was like, she just raised me and my 2 older brothers, and she was busy a lot of times because she was working more than one job. So I really never had anybody, I never had like the late night story time. I'm gonna buy you this because mommy doesn't have enough time at the end of the day to read to you. That's a lie. I know it's hard, and I know it's hard to work and raise kids, but hey, that's a choice she made. I was a good child, but then I was like, no one's paying attention to me, so I'm gonna show my ass.
I used to like reading when I was little, ever since I came to America. I started to hate reading.
When I was younger, I wasn't really a big fan of reading, just because, I don't know, I felt like I was always pressured to read, like, oh, you have to read this.
My parents read and everybody reads, but I don't.
Because I remember high school, for me, it was just like, I was hardly even there in class. Me take notes, you're right.
Homework is extremely time consuming. And when you're young and in high school and not as responsible or don't want to be responsible, you don't have time for homework.
I don't think I ever really read a whole book until I actually went to college.
I've known friends that have been all throughout high school, all throughout school, that's never even read a book. Either they tried to find the movie that was on the book, or like they bullshitted the whole situation. One of my English teachers, when I was a senior, all she wanted us to do was color. And it was an English class. High school's supposed to have you ready for college, to write papers, to read down, all that. And they don't.
I'm pretty sure all the teachers know already here at Jerome how bad the school districts are. They know.
I really like to read. I read a lot, more for pleasure than for education, although I do believe in reading for education. I just don't do it as much as I'd like.
Summer, spring break, Christmas break, whatever. I read those books, I return them. I can't wait till school's over so I can read, because it takes me away, pleasure reading.
Me personally, I read Harry Potter, all 5 books. 6 now. Guess I'm a geek for that one.
I always have a book running. Right now I'm reading A Case for Christ, which is a journalist's perspective on Jesus Christ. It's kind of boring.
It amazes me when people talk about, oh, did you read this book? Or did you read that book? And, it's like, wow, and they've read all these books, and sometimes I feel like I'm left out or behind because I don't have a large volume of books that I've read.
What would you rather do?
Be outdoors or playing video games or playing baseball or driving somewhere, going to movies, something like that. Not reading. Too boring.
I like watching stuff visually. I don't like reading stuff.
If I had to read a book, or I probably wouldn't read. I'd probably just get on my Xbox.
Playing video games, my Xbox 360.
Which I shouldn't be doing, but to me, it's like reading is just kind of wasting my time.
Cooking.
Listen to music.
Sex.
Fishing.
Scrubbing the toilet.
Or watching TV, or flipping through internet, or going on a MySpace or something.
Hang out with somebody, just talk to somebody.
For me to say I don't have enough time in a day to actually pick up a book and read, I'm lying. Because I can totally find at least 10 minutes or 15, 20 minutes out of my day. I cannot be talking on my cell phone or not driving to Jack in the Box and getting something to eat and actually staying home and grabbing something out of my kitchen and reading.
No, I definitely think that squirrels work harder than students. Look at the dropout rates of Chabot College, and look at how full the parking lot is, like the first week of classes, and then go look at it right now. Squirrels are busting their ass every day because if they don't get those little acorns in their nuts and build their little nests, do squirrels have nests? Like inside of trees and stuff, right? If they don't, they're gonna die. And no one says like if you don't have an education, you're gonna die. You might be working at McDonald's and would rather be dead, but yeah, squirrels work harder. Reading and self-esteem are definitely connected. I think that if you don't feel like you're intelligent enough to read, you won't.
I think for someone who doesn't know how to read, it would be a big shock to their, to their ego.
I just really don't like to read. I just could care less about reading.
More deeper down the problem, the root of the issue, besides the fact that she just doesn't want to do it, that there's other issues down beneath it.
Book I read, the violence book, it's described a lot about prisoners who couldn't read and how it affected them, and they'd rather go without knowing how to read than to admit to their other prison inmates that, hey, I can't read, so they'd rather not read at all.
One of my classmates told me I went and got drunk last night. I went and got drunk.
They diagnosed me with like a disability when I was like in preschool. How does your little test know what grade level I am? Oh, it was great for my self-esteem.
Well, for me, I don't understand it the first time, or the second time, or like the third time. It takes me like a couple times, and I have to tell them, I'm sorry, I don't understand, and I'm totally listening, but it's just my brain isn't grasping what you're saying.
I have bouts of depression and bouts of mania. I go up and down, and I don't want to get up. And you know what I do? I just get up and go anyway. It affects me. I get overwhelmed. Sometimes my mind wanders.
Everybody goes through those stressful times, some, depression times. I know I've been through it. I know I'm still going through it. But if you're just like, oh, I'm not going to be able to read this, there's too many hard words, then it's like you're just putting, be negative. You're just going to put yourself down and you're going to give up and put the book down.
You can sit there and look at a book and you literally talk yourself out of it.
I got distractions. I can read all day long, but I read and then my mind goes that way, then I have to get myself back. There's such a thing as life.
I'm pushing myself constantly, and I'm constantly stressed out because I'm like, I hate the word fail. And if I fail, I swear I think it would destroy me. It really would.
I mean, I cried when I went home. And I couldn't speak without crying. It was a really bad day. I feel like I'm almost like I'm drowning and trying to keep my head above water because I haven't read what these other people are talking about. I feel very lost. And sometimes there's just times where I don't feel like doing anything because I'm exhausted. And that makes me feel like I'm being lazy. At some point you have to stop and take a breath. I feel like I'm sinking. I feel like I'm sinking.
I feel really sad for that person because at least they're coming in and trying. Then they're giving up and they're like, I can't make it. Outside pressures or inside pressures or school pressures is causing them to do this. But I really feel sad for the student because, you know, they just feel like they just didn't get a chance.
I think as long as you try your best, do your best, you won't have that low self-esteem.
If you believe in yourself and believe that you can do it, you can follow through and, you know, finish it, then you'll do it. But
it's gonna be easier for other people, and if it's harder for you, like sometimes it takes a little nip out of your self-esteem. It's just like, geez, so I have to read a little bit longer, or it'll take me longer to read than somebody else. But I mean, that's something I've been dealing with since I've been in school. So I mean, so what? It takes me longer. I'm gonna take as long as I want.
All those factors can pop up at any time, but you just got to go with it because, you know, there's probably other students themselves that have, you know, problems.
If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't.
You feel the anxiety, but you just got to go with it and just, you know, do your best.
Nothing outside of me dictate, you know, who I am. I'm not gonna let that dictate that.
About books on tape because I didn't know about it in high school. So then I got Harry Potter on tape and everything, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. I was all psyched and everything because like everybody always reads a book and then they go see the movie. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. I totally understand what's going on and everything. I had, you know, like most people, like if you read a book like that, you guys did, and I never had that. And I finally got that when I was like 20-something years old. And it's like, oh, it's so fucking cool. I love it, you know. And ever since then, I love books on tape, you know. It's been great, you know. And I'm like, now, you know, I know what everybody's talking about.
And I've been talking to students one-on-one. They don't know the programs are out here. They have no idea what options are available to them because maybe they're not educated enough, or maybe they just, you know, they're scared to ask.
You gotta ask questions. If you walk around with your mouth closed, then you're not gonna get fed. Like, they have brochures out there, they always have tables set up, so it ain't hard to find out about it. Word of mouth travel fast.
I'm a pushy person, and if I need help, I'm gonna get it from somewhere.
Like the tutorial or the rec center, you know, the library. That's what I'm talking about, options. The administration, the students, and the teachers, we all have to work together to make it a success. And we deserve every option that's available to us. because we're also paying for it.
You're paying them to teach you now in college, you know? Like, if you don't get your money's worth, then that's on you. So I know we have to rely on ourselves more than them helping us out.
Usually I'll ask other students because I can get their perspective on the whole situation.
Sometimes it's even better to hear from a student because, like, they can break it down to, like, your level. Like,
we all kind of got together and said, well, why don't we study together for the test? And that's when it started, and I got an A in the class.
I mean, you have things like study groups. Some people do that, but not everyone has that kind of time.
I mean, there's 24 hours in a day. You should be able to find at least an hour to read or do something. You know?
I don't feel like it's, their direct responsibility. I think as a student, you have to kind of know how much you should be reading.
I don't see why the teacher would want to change what they're trying to get this person to read. You know, I would say the teacher has the upper hand and the student probably would have to kind of bend towards what the teacher wants.
you know, the teacher's not going to call and nag you. The teacher's not going to remind you the homework's due. They're not going to do that.
You have to go to your teacher and say, hey, you know, I have learning disabilities. Don't like go into class and like fuck up a whole paper and be like, oh shit, you know. Just you have to go up and communicate. You have to have good communication.
How can the teachers tell if you're not comprehending the material unless you speak out?
And I feel the more you ask them questions type of thing, that they'll see that you're trying to learn the stuff, even though your test may not show it or your reading techniques may not show it, but you're trying to improve your knowledge somewhere.
Yeah, how much effort are we really putting out to do it? And for some people, they put out a lot. Some people don't. We can be over busy, but sometimes we do what we want to do rather than what we should do.
Do your background research. And if anything, try to go beyond that and bring in some of your own information. I mean, skimming over work is just saying, okay, K class, I don't care.
My thing is I've taken an algebra book and just thrown it in the corner because I hate it so much.
It's almost like anything, if you work hard enough, you'll become better at it.
But I had a friend say to me, you know what, you gotta try. You gotta open up the book and you might surprise yourself. You learn something about yourself that you never knew that you could do.
I would tell them, just check your ego at the door. Take art, for example. Hey, you could be a great artist, but there's a lot of people out there that are better than you. It's about improving yourself.
Don't smoke weed before you go to class, dumbass. There was someone that I saw in class today wearing a shirt with a big marijuana leaf and talking to his teacher about why he got a bad grade on his paper. Advice that I have to students is don't waste your time. If you're not going to put in the effort to get good grades, don't show up, because it's a waste of my time as a classmate, and it's a waste of the teacher's time.
Do you understand why you're going to college for? Like, do you understand how much it costs to actually live in this state? Like, don't you want a better life? Like, people don't realize that school is actually, my thing when I think about school is like, it's money for me. It's money.
I'm trying to get the most out of it as I can. This is just a stepping stone. It's a foundation for all the schooling that I plan on attending in the future.
I go into class and I'm going to know in 10 minutes if me and that teacher are going to work.
I feel that sometimes people are afraid to step up and ask questions because the teacher ignores them, and I've been ignored quite a bit, and it really pisses me off.
There are some teachers out there that don't know how to teach a class.
They've just got the credentials, they've got the experience. Any way they explain it, you should understand, and if you don't, if you don't understand the way they're saying it, it's just because you're not paying attention. You didn't do what it took to understand in the first place. You shouldn't be in a class in the first place. You should just know how to do it. They think they're just it.
A teacher who, let me say, like, who's just biased, who's just there.
He was just really, he didn't want to be there himself.
Or one who don't want to be bothered, who have attitude, who don't enjoy what they doing.
He'd come to class and say, "Whoa, what do you guys want to do today?"
they'll probably walk out while you're taking the test.
And then he'd go off and say, okay, do these problems. And he'd go off for like 20 minutes and go get a cup of coffee. And
They don't explain themselves very well. They just tell you just do page this and that. And
then come back and like make fun of the students, you know, that didn't do quite well.
I mean, that's how I look at it. That's what a bad teacher is to me.
I remember he left one day and I just got up and I grabbed my stuff and everyone was looking at me like, they could tell I was angry.
So it's like, you know, either you're going to teach me or you're not, you know. And if you're not going to teach me, you shouldn't be in this position.
No, that's how they were showed to teach, maybe. So maybe that's just why I like. And if they've been teaching a certain way for whatever years, it's gonna be hard to just showing them some tape and then convincing them that, you know, this is the way maybe you guys should think about it.
You want to become a teacher for a reason, and that was to empower people, to teach them, to help them learn things. And if you don't care, why should I care?
A teacher has the power to completely turn you on to a subject or completely turn you off of a subject.
Had I not read Feynman, had I not been in ISLS, I would have wrote off Feynman as just another scientist.
I hear students say, okay, I don't even like this subject, but this teacher made me want to do it, so made me actually want to go to that class, so it made it fun for me. Now I like this subject.
You know what, it wasn't even so much of a lecture. Every day was kind of a debate. She'd bring in all these different current events and things like that, and we'd talk about them.
Like, and he seemed so passionate about like what he was saying, and he would like animate his lectures and just kind of like give it life. You know what I mean?
Like Scott, when he was teaching Machiavelli, he had
He used the word neat in every other sentence.
Yeah, he had basically strips of paper that showed locations: Milan, Florence. Okay, the entire room was Florence. You had Milan, you had Rome, you had Spain. He showed it. It's basically, imagine you're in this time. Florence is this crossroad. Imagine this person that is Machiavelli.
And he really put us into it. He's like, who is this person? Trying to understand it. And he was obviously really interested in it because you could see it in his face.
They really get involved with like the class or the student, and they really try to push you harder. Like if you had a C, they probably tell you like, you know, you really can do better. I like a teacher that encourage you. That's the type of teacher I like.
Do you get a lot of those?
I probably only have one, maybe two right now.
I like down-to-earth teachers. I like down-to-earth teachers.
Be down to earth about it. Don't act all, you know.
You know, and they're just really open, like genuinely open and really glad to be teachers. You could just sense that right away. So.
It's okay to joke around. I love it when, you know, teachers, you know, they don't act all stiff, you know, and they you know, they're on that equal playing field like they're your friend. If the teacher wants to be a good teacher, you know, instead of being a tyrant, bring yourself down to the student's level.
They need to be able to communicate with you on a level that, you know, that's even, an equal level. And
I think the students will absorb more if they feel they're on an equal playing field than if they're towering above them and, oh, I'm Mr., you know, dictator and you do what I say or you're going to get a C or D in the class.
instead of looking down and just because you're a teacher, that don't make me a smaller person. You know, I can talk to you in any way, then you can talk to me in any way, then it's not going to work.
I think a lot of teachers turn off a lot of students from the start. They walk in with the assumption that no one cares and that they're just here because they need credits for the car insurance or the parents are making them.
I think they have you in a box, like right when you get in like that. I think they expect you to be a certain way because most people don't expect me to do anything when I get in class. And then when I do it, they kind of surprised, like, oh, okay, he's serious.
It's like some teachers don't try to relate. Like when they were assigned a book in college, they didn't always read it. They probably try to look on Cliff Notes or something.
You know, some of these teachers forget where they came from. You weren't born a doctor. You went through school and graduated, now you're a doctor, professor, or whatever. Don't forget the little guys down here. You know, we need to be where you are at some point, you know, and some people forget that.
You want to encourage us, not because it's a money issue, because we're trying to get to where you're going. You're already educated. We're trying to get that same thing in education.
I remember one time my teacher told me like about a student, like no matter how long you knock, they won't answer. So I said like, you know, eventually they'll have to answer if you just keep knocking, but you don't know how much time a teacher has and keep knocking.
I think every teacher, whether or not they see the student and they think that they don't want to do it, they should treat them like they do. Even if they're 100% sure that the student is slacking off and doesn't care, I think that they should treat them like they do.
Like really matters, because if you don't like the teacher, they don't like you, it seems like they hate on you and stuff, I wouldn't even go. I'll be like, whatever, you know, I'll try to wing this class, or like I'll just drop it.
If I don't like a teacher, I won't let it get to me enough that I'm going to fail class, but I definitely don't strive to do better for them.
And the teachers that I didn't have any kind of personal connection with, I was less inclined to show up. I didn't really care. I was kind of indifferent.
Well, you know, where I grew up, respect is show me, I show you.
They want respect. I mean, I give them respect, and if they don't, then I talk to them on the level they treat me as.
They do have a degree and they're educated, but I don't think they should just lay that on the table like, hey, I'm this teacher and I'm better than you. They should try to connect maybe on an equal level, like, you know, I'm here to help you so you can maybe one day, you know, be as good as me.
I will respect them. I'll do what they need to do. I'll help them out as long as they help me out. But if they like kind of try to force me to do something, then it's like, come on now, you gotta calm down. Like I'll be reluctant to, like, you feel me, mess with them a little bit. Like I'll shy away from everything they doing. I won't really care about what they saying.
Teachers is putting their time and energy into you, and you're not putting it back into your work. That's kind of like disrespectful to the teachers.
And when the teacher's lecturing, just something simple as paying attention. If a student is like talking on their cell phone, you know, I think that's a lack of respect for the teacher.
If I got a strong connection with a teacher and I don't do my assignment, sometimes I feel kind of bad because, you know, they give you a little leeway and you don't want to keep just taking all that rope, because eventually they might say something and then there's some type of fusion and you done messed off y'all good relationship because you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
I know teachers can't be bonded with everybody, but when you develop a bond, because a bond it's got to be developed, it don't just happen like that. You know what I mean? When you get that, it does make you feel more responsible to do what you're supposed to be doing anyway.
I think a personal relationship with any student, it kind of like puts them on the spot.
Like when you have a student-teacher relationship, if you don't read the book, you feel bad when you come to class.
They put in all this work and effort and stuff, and I'm not pulling my weight. And it's almost like you want to make your teacher proud, I guess.
You have to have, if you want someone to do something for you, even though it benefits them, you still have to like make the learning environment a good place. I don't care if it's like elementary school or college.
It would be a much more encouraging, and it'd help a person grow as a person. If they could just be more open with each other.
You want to make it inviting, and you want them to like feel like they can come to you with questions if they need to, and like it's not an authority thing, you know? You don't want that in your class, because I mean, no one's gonna like take you seriously, and no one's gonna want to like, you know, take a class if you're gonna be just like this Scrooge about everything, and then, you know, you're gonna end up like, you know, driving people away, and that could really benefit from your class, and you could benefit from learning from them as a teacher. I mean, like, I don't think I ever would want to take a class where the teacher thought they'd have nothing to learn themselves, you know?
Where am I going with this? I don't know. See, I would never be a good teacher because I don't know.
One of the best things about ISLS is the way we learn that every subject is connected with every other subject. And if you're learning something, then anything is going to have importance in some way. You just don't know what way, possibly.
Having discussions, making kids get involved on what did they find in the book, and helping them see how to draw those conclusions so that later on they can do it on their own.
They made us express our opinions.
When you see a student sitting in the back and not talking, make a point to get them to talk.
And it gets them to start thinking and put themselves in that position. They start thinking and feeling like they're involved in the story now.
That's what's going to help kids later on, is because they're going to have to, they're going to go into a class of 700 kids and they're going to have to pull out themes from books on their own. They're going to have to read bread givers and pull out gender codes and culture codes and find the differences of them. Meanwhile, right now is when maybe teachers can start helping kids doing that.
Our democracy in this fine nation is about speaking, and if you don't speak up, then how are you playing your role?
When you have a class of 20 and you're trying to get something across to them, you don't know if everybody got it. But if you're working one-on-one, I think it's easier to work with that one person and get them to see what they don't see.
Have more like one-on-one contact with students.
Have a one-on-one conversation with them.
I really enjoy the small groups, like when they put you in groups in the class and you can read the book. That also helps. That's an incentive to help get you going.
Because when I do my own work, I space out, want to do something else, want to go somewhere, I want to go out, whatever. But if I'm in a group, I have to be there. I have to do the work, otherwise I feel like I'm going to let my group down, and I don't want to do that.
5 of y'all get together and y'all discuss this chapter, discuss that chapter, and you take notes and go along like that. That's helpful, really helpful.
They need to stop giving so much overhead and just print it out. And let us do that, let us ask questions during the lecture regarding the chapter and not so much dictating what we're going to learn.
It just goes from their lecture to telling you what chapter to read, and that's pretty much it.
We spend all the time taking notes, we're not hearing you know it. Let us have those handouts that you going step by step by step, and let us use it as a part of the lecture.
They search the web at some point in time, and they can probably give us the information that they went over before they presented their lecture to the class.
Well, he'll give us URLs and stuff for internet sites that have to do with the reading too.
But he'd also constantly be handing out papers, shorter papers about different issues and things he'd discuss in class.
I hate to say it because everyone else will disagree, but a good teacher assigns lots of reading. In order to really understand the material, you can't just skate through your education just by getting by, being I could just get little pieces of information. You have to get the whole picture, and in order to do that, you have to put the work in to do it.
When he teaches a lesson, if he thinks that reading is really fundamental, then he'll give us a format. But I'm not going to really force the teacher to say, give me a format.
Yeah, I always saw it as almost 50-50 between it, because you're there to learn and you're there to earn your education, but they're also there to teach you, and they should, I wouldn't say it's their responsibility to make us read and all that, but still it is their responsibility to make us feel educated. They are the teachers, they're there to teach.
We were just wondering, do you guys like reading?
Yes. I'm an adult.
How many of you like reading? How many of you don't like reading? If you read poetry out loud to your lover, raise your hand. It's less fun to do than reading.
Surgery. Major surgery.
An essay on reading.
That is less.
Can you make it out of college without reading?
Yes.
No.
Of course you can.
How do you want to feel after you leave a class?
I want to feel confident.
You just want to feel good about yourself. You just don't want to feel bad. You want to leave nowhere feeling bad. So
You don't want to leave the class empty-headed.
I left last semester, knowing that I was thinking more critical.
After I left the course, at least, I learned some things that will help me. Let's say it's a prerequisite course that, hey, I can go in the next course and be prepared, even if I didn't remember every single thing.
I love when I walk out of a classroom and I have some new information that I could brag to someone and say, spill off random facts or explain something to someone else. I love the fact that education connects everyone.
lot of Eastern cultures have said that if you have the choice to piss off God or piss off the instructor, go ahead and piss off God because the instructor's there to turn you around.